Now watch his hands when he turns the wheel to the right. See it slide? And that's why it's gone so straight. I couldn't understand why it was so wide of the mark, but it was wide because he basically was having his own moment 100 metres prior.
Here it is again from external, so it got away from him in the rear right at the point of full load on the turn in, and it's actually nudged that time. Traction that he got. So one of the questions has been answered. They got him off the line pretty well. So, actually, turn 2 was a little bit rougher and tougher than I thought. So that was Winterbottom and Fullwood. Wasn't focused on what the third car was, and here's the story. Hazelwood, that's under investigation at turn 8, grabbing Di Pasquale. Hazelwood in the cool drive entry. So that's going to put Anton right at the back of the field at the moment. He's 21 seconds off the lead, and that's the view from his cockpit. Awkward moment for Macaulay Jones. Pizza Hut entry just whacks that exit. Replay, James Courtney
just turned it in. Will's dived down the inside. This is almost a replica.
Steering wheel and the steering arms down at turn 8, down the inside. James Courtney again gets a little bit of bulldozer action from Scott Pye. First blood in the qualifying battle. Awkward start to proceedings for Cam Hill. Big blister on his left hand after yesterday's 250Ks. They had to make a third stop. We saw this moment just a few moments ago. So car 56, the tradie entry is the one we're looking at. He made a pretty decent start, but then the 2 side skirts have interlocked. Macaulay Jones, unfortunately, in the Pizza Hut entry together with Declan Fraser. Macaulay's been able to grab, reverse and get out of there, but for Declan, it's nudged that fence hard enough to damage.
That David Reynolds had, the first jump was very equal. And then you can see down in the back, so you see there's the tradie car making contact with the Pizza Hut car and sideways and into that left-hand barrier. He himself down too much to be able to do it. So watch the back of the car. Oh, he's hit the fence! Oh, that was a great save. He hit the fence on the left-hand side, Cam Waters, that time, at the apex. You'll watch this now, you'll see the contact. Bang!
Oof.
And that is a serious
What's the story here? Here's the replay. Oh, Randall contact with Hazelwood, and Scott Pye and Jack Smith just following on off the back of it. Here's another view from Scott Pye's car. Tagged him, and then Pye gets a bit of a benefit also from that, I think. Can't see out of it, so he's waiting for a cue. So he's overrun down here, locked it up and nudged it into the tyres. Shane out to the racing line and tries to sweep down, but he loses the lead. Does he hang on and off and outside and in the weeds, one of the Penrite cars? Here the wide shot might tell a little more of the story. So nice job by Will to get down the inside. Okay, so Cam Waters, David Reynolds and Mark Winterbottom were the protagonists down there at turn 1. And unfortunately for David, that car's been buried in the gravel. It's exactly done what it's designed to do, which is to stop the cars heading down there at high speed. There was a bit of rear brake locking going on there, but there might have also been some other bumpers helping the cause.
Race car, they always have smells, and then got to the third slice car, I thought, oh my God, I am on fire. So then my next reaction, honestly, was to get to the supercar pit lane. I rolled in with no power, with the extinguisher already running. But because I know how good this pit lane is, the supercar...
Safety car boards and flags, safety car boards and flags.
James Taylor in the background calling a safety car for the second time in this race. And that's probably the third or fourth driver this weekend that we've seen running wide on the exit of 8. So the only thing I can think of is that Macca jumped too early.
Caught out there, I think that's Matt Payne. And he was out of the weeds and right out sideways. That's Van Gisbergen. Oh, in the fence, Frosty. In the fence for the DeWalt Camaro. That's hit quite hard on the way out of turn 5.
And margins have opened up here. How's that? In fact, there were about half a dozen cars that were exploring the extreme limits down there, and that was a nasty thud for Mark Winterbottom. Here's the other angle of it. Whoa, that is going to be a big bruise on that car. Kostecki, 3/4 of a second over Brown. Oh, we've got trouble here, unfortunately, for Courtney. Flames billowing out in front of this car. That is not a good look.
That's seriously on fire, that one. And he's out. Well done. And well done to all the other teams there that have contributed. Grove Racing, there were other teams also that were assisting, and a bump and grind.
There's more going on back in the pack here. They're 3 wide at turn 4. Chaz Mostert finds new ground out there. Anton Di Pasquale on the outside. We've also got Heimgartner, and round goes Di Pasquale, and this is going to be contact with the inside wall as well. Damage on both ends for the Shell car. What a catastrophe.
And Macaulay Jones too caught up there. So Macca was involved in the back end of this. Watch closely. So he turns in across. He got bumped by Payne.
Yeah.
And then that
Safety car boards and flags. Pit lane is closed. Pit
with Anton. Have a look at the intensity of this fire.
Yeah, not a good look at all, is it, unfortunately? And we know from what happened to Nick Percat that the damage that is sustained when these cars are on fire is so extreme. So James has been able to get down. He's actually been guided in by his team and the marshals, and they're quickly on the job there to try and get that thing under control.
What used to be an under tray, it's now the bottom of the front splitter. Cars with... You've got to be careful here for it doesn't drag under the front wheel.
This is the turn 3, so there was a little bit of action further back between 3 and 4, so that tells us a bit more of the story. Here comes Macca trying to take advantage. And the gyrating view from Anton. Here's what happened. So Heimgartner looks down the inside and ends up making contact. Oh, it was actually the car on the right-hand side. It was the WAU car that when it became 3 wide was when it all got a bit ugly. So this is Chaz, the awkward little trip there with Heimgartner that in turn grabs Golding.
And he did a great job because he's doing a very, very fast reverse park, and he pulled the lock off it so he didn't back into the fence. Nice job.
Smith, Pye, Hazelwood, Reynolds. Was that a little balk? Did he get away with it?
Oh, we've got a bump. There was a little bump there. Oh, it's hit a wheel.
Oh, where did that go? That was not a good look. Now there's a penalty when you lose control of your gear like that. So I'm not quite sure who that belonged to in the end. So this is Scott Pye's car, and it's making its own arrangements, that wheel and tyre. Biff and Barge, so Forward and Fraser, we're looking at them. And out comes Will Davis, and that'll be an unsafe release. And, was that one of the Red Bull wheels and tyres? Yeah. Wheel and tyre. Yeah, it was. Okay, so it was just sitting there. Oh, that marshal was lucky not to get clobbered in that process. And in fact,
good job.
How good was Chaz Mostert's mission there?
Nice deviation, huh?
Kenny Rogers' song, "Pick a fine time to lead me, loose wheel." Brown, Mostert, combat aplenty as they turn in here. Is there going to be space given? Not enough, and around goes Will Brown. Is he going to stay off the wall? No, he clobbers the concrete. This will tell more of the story.
Yeah, no touch. So that was just unfortunate. He's in the wrong spot, and he tried to be aggressive and turn it in.
And here's what's happened down here. Declan Fraser and Cam Hill. And Cam, dirty side of the road was what cost him dearly. You could again see the dust coming up on the inside of the road down there. Catch up. So we had a 90-minute practice session yesterday to give everybody the opportunity to really settle in to understand their car's behaviour. Unfortunately for Macaulay Jones with that gold Camaro and the Pizza Hut car, he went off at turn 7. Challenge down here for Andre Hines. SCT Logistics entry, so he's out of business down there. 2.8 seconds is the margin between Shane Van Gisbergen and Jack LeBrock now. A bit unusual. Rudd Jones Racing have been pretty efficient when it comes to their stops, and that was nasty, wasn't it? Pertec pit stop competition has been won by them quite a few times, and Pertec, in fact, have just re-signed again with Supercars. Whoa, Heimgartner and Waters. So we've seen that happen here a few times over the years, and this is the onboard from Andre's car. So Cam physically has to check up a bit in order to be able to get into the lane, and Heimgartner's whacked him. And we're on board now with Anton Di Pasquale. He's having a sniff down the inside for David Reynolds as well, and he's also made good, although they made contact, though, in this instance, and that cost Reynolds dearly. Now that probably sliding the car too much. Now this is the one that's in question, and it was a lock-up at the critical moment there for Anton on the inside front. And then at that point, with the front tyre not rotating, and he's tried to release the brake there to get it to steer, but the damage was done, and you heard the contact on the outside. Thomas Randall covering on the inside. He's got Chaz Mostert having a bit of a peep. And also diving down the inside there, James Golding. A turnaround here for Declan Fraser. The Declan Fraser got turned around. So there's a 15-second penalty hanging over Jack LeBrock's head now, unfortunately, and that is Fraser in the trading entry disappearing to the right. That's the view from Shane Van Gisbergen's car. So unfortunately for LeBrock, who was the car that was off the road at the start and clobbered the sign down there as well in the truck assist entry when he dropped the clutch. It's been a pretty fraught opening lap for him. Looks like it could be awkward. And it is, and it was. So it's a replay. So Andre Heimgartner just helping Declan Fraser discover the fringes of the racetrack.
Helping him.
Just a little. Give him a little helping hand down there at turn 2, followed by James Golding, Scott Pine. 5/100ths of a second is the margin. This is James Courtney, and that could have been so ugly. That's the reason why James was hundreds of metres out in the wilderness.
Who was that was doing the weaving?
I think it was a they, not just a that this weekend. Let's have a look at what happened to James here.
Who was that?
I think it was a truck assist car, and yeah, that was spooky. And that was the reason we picked him up coming out of the runoff area at turn 6, and he was hundreds of metres away from the racetrack, and this explains why. For this, he's right in Brock's way, and unfortunately impeding's cost him 4 spots now in this race this afternoon. LeBrock, then Kostecki, Waters, Heimgartner, Hill, Van Gisbergen, Mostert, Feeney, Pye, the top 10. And all the usual elbow-to-elbow stuff with Courtney faring poorly. And he's actually got it all locked up. He's trying to turn it left and keep it off the barrier, but he's bumped it. Now, has that done any lasting damage? Now, here's what happened down at the hairpin. Kostecki. Now, watch Jack. Jack gets into the back of Brodie. Brodie's high and wide, and then Cam's actually run in deep, run Brodie up high into the wall. And then actually the thing behind with Brock and Mostert, that was separate. That was all happening anyway. And that's done damage in the right front corner of Brodie's car. And I must admit, I wasn't looking in the background then at the Mostert. People looking to make moves early on the cold tyres up the inside at turn 6. Feeney trying to recover off the road as Van Gisbergen straight into the wall. Did he do it on his own, or was he escorted?
And
so whose car are we looking from?
David Reynolds, and that's why it's got a puncture.
Right.
So I thought these two things might have been connected. So there he's wide, and then that's the contact. Right. So that's the puncture.
Here we go. Van Gisbergen's point of view. And right in front of that car will be pretty second-hand. So
this is the craziness. Look at that. That's 3 abreast going in there. Oh, I didn't see that spin earlier. So that's Heimgartner. So that was clumsy because he tried to turn back the other side. Oh, how about that one too? That was Anton Di Pasquale.
45 kilometres an hour pending the wind. And that's awkward. Skating off to the inside for Declan, and then the 2 BJR.
How's this play out? Because you don't want to be on the outside over there, but now you do. Oh, and they're both off. That's, yeah, that was sort of always going to happen, that one.
Right here, they're both arguing over a very narrow bit of real estate in the narrow racing line, and Andre, narrow with too much pace, has had to bumble over the top of the rise here. The car's gone wide. It started to slide, locking brakes. 2 of them in heavy-duty combat, and unfortunately, neither was able to escape cleanly and stay on the racing line. So it was a gift for the next car in the queue. One of the Shell V-Power racing cars was able. Now, what are we looking at in the background here? We're looking at James Courtney and Macaulay Jones, and that was awkward.
And I think it was Andre going off in front of him at the same time. So that's Heimgartner. There's Macaulay. Now watch how he straightens him. So James is heavily into the side of corners that you get oversteer from. So to go fast around here, big sliding off the road goes Percat down there at turn 1. But to go faster around here, often you can corner weight the car.
The hill on the other side and sliding through that left-hander.
Whoa, spin!
And that's James Courtney pointing in the wrong direction. Off turn 14. And we've got Waters in trouble here. So there's a fire with this car. My goodness, what a disaster.
He's going to have to stop this car.
He needs to get it to a fire marshal quickly. I heard on the radio.
Flags. Safety car, pit exit and hold. Safety
so
car,
we're going to have to red flag.
Safety car, scramble.
And we were in the start replay at that point, but that's a catastrophic fire for Waters. I'm so pleased to see him out of that car. What a shame.
Oh, my God.
What a shame. After a wonderful qualifying and a brilliant race start, and an issue where this car has erupted in flames on the run down there to turn 1.
The bonnet had a weird flap into the last corner, but I just thought I hit something, and then yeah, it was on fire down the front straight, and then when I got to turn 1, the engine was shut off and had a long pedal, and yeah, there was fire everywhere. So at that point I just had to bail and find a fire extinguisher and get it put out.
I mean, you were part of putting the car out on fire. Did you get an idea of how bad the damage would be to that car?
Yeah, I just had to get out of the thing as quick as I could, and then the marshals were great to get out with a fire extinguisher, and yeah, I kind of took over his job, but it'll be a fair bit of damage.
Thanks, Cam.
Thanks.
The feel for Cam Waters in that interview there with Garth Tander. The good news is Cam's all okay. This is the onboard view. So at this stage, he's disconnecting himself from the car. You can see flames erupting from in behind the firewall, and in the left front corner of that thing, it's just erupting. Meantime, everyone's blazing on by, so that sound you can hear in the background's car.
But it's the severity that really forced Cam to get to the closest marshal point. Now, normally at a street circuit or whatever, there's basically a sign on the areas of the marshal points that actually are proper fire recovery spots, but he didn't have a choice at all there. No. He just basically had to get the thing off the road. And at that point, you can see even how much it scorched all the grass as it's come into there. The officials at that first marshalling point have been very quick on the job. They've seen that, they've seen the images, and they've been able to get those extinguishers onto Cam.
Race control to safety car, race control to safety car, lights out, please return to pit lane this lap.
So I didn't actually see who was racing with James at that point, so it was a lively first lap, wasn't it?
Wasn't it? Yeah.
And Jack Smith running wide down here off the exit. He came on the radio straight away and said he's been pushed out there. Now that post-race investigation for Team 18, I believe, is for the wheel that got away from Scott Pye's car. So my first thought was, I hope that it's not Mark Winterbottom, because he's our leader of the race in a Team 18 car. You can see everybody else checking up as a result of it. They're trying to go 3 wide in a place where that doesn't work too well. He's making great use of fresh air at the moment from Heimgartner, Van Gisbergen and Brown. Golding's come up a spot. Brody did drop a spot. And there's crazy stuff in the back of the pack. Payne's gone off. Declan Fraser's gone off. And
just keep pressing on.
Does he get it mobile? He's got Fraser's car still in the garage. This is the view. Oh, that was a bigger one than I thought.
Yeah.
That was LeBrock disappearing to the right.
Jack Smith was involved in that also, so that you could just see in the back of shot there as Payne was spinning.
Here it is on the replay. We caught the back end of this. Nick's going to be in strife for that. So when he's jumped on the brake, he's locked up, and he just centre punched him. So he'll have a case to answer. That won't take. Is he given a helping hand here? Or, no, it's further back. Right. So it's a tit for tat exercise with Jack's. Here's the replay from Jack's car on the run up to turn 6. So a bit of Dodgem car action up here. Gets it, catches out the other side, and
this is the story now of how he got into the wall. So there's the bump. So a double whammy with Jack LeBrock and Shane. That's how we ended up out there against the fence there at turn 8. A little awkward bump with those two Camaros, wasn't it?
Yeah, just a strange overlap. Carded them, but the replay tells any of the story here down at braking area in turn 2. And looks like Frosty's gone in just a bit too quick, and he's arrived into the back of Nick Percat, who's gassed her up and put up a smoke screen, and they're now trying to figure out the way out of it. So that was all a bit awkward, and that's had the effect of dropping these guys back all the way down the order. And here's the traffic jam that ensued. So Frosty just had to sit and wait. Unfortunately, when Percat was trying to unwind himself from all that, he's grabbed the left front of Jack Smith's car. It caused enormously.
Teammates.
No, that's, my goodness, that's not what anybody wants to see. Car on car from within the same garage, Slade and Golding, and launches Slade. So is there more to the story on the replay here? And there is. So he's been tangled up there, I presume, with Declan Fraser on the run into the left-hander. This might tell us a little bit more of the story. So he's tried to wander around the outside here. And that's what's happened to him. So that now explains everybody in race control, and that looks like a little bit of the diffuser off the back of one of the cars, and Waters manages to avoid.
Supervisor drivers, debris exit of 8. Debris exit of 8.
Race director, gotcha. It was James Courtney that clobbered it.
Safety car.
I wondered about
flags.
that. And the chopper will tell us a little bit of the story. So he's wandered wide. He's ended up, that's weird contact with Macaulay Jones. Strange. He's that race generated all the smoke. So he's ended up wide down there. And then Mac has got him in the right rear corner, so they're going to have a...
Turn 2, change the direction, grab an early gear, and then a big slide.
Oh.
And that's the aero effect. That's not that fast. That corner is roughly 150k.
And hangs on. And now he feeds him a little bit. So he's run him a bit tight on the exit of the hill that time, Will Davison. And he's checked him up, and now there's a little bit of contact in the right-hander at 8. And that gets Slade into the game here.
Give it back. You can't do that. He can't.
Sector one than any other. So just have a look at this, and you can see that, okay, now I understand what the wriggling was about. So that was an awkward tangle between Di Pasquale and Feeney, fastest lap of the race. What's gone on here? Oh, a bit of ugliness for Macaulay Jones. And he's pointing in the wrong direction there in the Pizza Hut entry car number 96. Drops the clutch, gets the whole shot, and owns the racetrack all the way to the apex of turn 1. And he's got a margin and big contact. And running right out around the outside is Will Brown. Keep an eye on the live action down there on the bottom right-hand corner of screen. So Andre was able to arrive where he wanted to. It was 3 into 1, does not go. So they all ended up crossing paths into turn 1. Here's the view.
This is David Reynolds. Oh, so inside contact with Dick Pasquale, outside contact with Will Brown. So, and I think there might have even been another car on the inside of Anton.
Straight in locals, Hazelwood, Percat, Pye and Slade. And here's how our weekend got started earlier today. Poorly, unfortunately, for James Courtney, who ran wide, turn 18. Understeered, but Randall, what a ripping start.
That was a great start. Mostert probably got the best start of the lot, but Randall walked the car off with almost no wheel spin. Contact in the middle of the field. That's a big one for Will Brown, who's got the front of that car knocked off. Is that Cam Hill also? So there's a lot of damage to the front of the Coke Camaro for Will. And have a look at that.
Incident turn 1.
So what goes on further beyond? So someone's turned Will, and then because he's parked where he is, unfortunately Cam Hill and Jackson
will tell a bit of the story, because someone gets into the back of Will reasonably early on there. Just there. Yeah, so that's Cam Hill. Or is it?
No, Jack
LeBrock, sorry. Yeah.
So it looked like Jack was the one that made the contact with Will. This is Frosty, Mark Winterbottom.
Who does a great job here. Watch all this. I don't reckon he actually made contact. So that's a brilliant job by Mark Winterbottom.
Yeah, so there's the tag.
Now, Will must have got a bad start too, Cromper, because he was at the back of the top 10 and he was in behind the guys that were 12th and 3rd.
So this is the out wide manoeuvre that I was talking about before, where sometimes the world can just open up for you. But if all this stuff happens, you end up getting trapped like that.
So Percat and Courtney ended up getting across to the inside. When you're on the outside, you're vulnerable, like now.
Yeah, so there was also a little moment that Will had that helped precipitate that. So
they were basically around turn one together, but nice move there, and there's going to be contact. Big contact, and they're spinning. Waters is gone. Is that Davison or Anton?
Here's the replay of what happened down at turn 6. So LeBrock way down the inside, locks up, ends up just side-swiping Waters, who indeed gets Will Davison. Jack Smith, for the second day in a row, has to take a base. He's got a car underneath him, so he's very ginger on the throttle. That's Will Davison. So then he tries to cover and watch for Jack. Bang. He's arrived.
And then that was Will Brown and Brock Feeney that got through.
And off the road, Brock Feeney. What a shame from a solid run this afternoon. It sounds like he might have been helped.
That's a long way off the road.
I don't even know where he is.
This is the replay. So there's David, and then bang, hit, contact, and spin across that wet grass, and finally he lands in the sand trap.
That has implications in the points when you think where he's now dropped into the field. Here's the replay from the roof cam. So he gets up there, but there's a bit of shake, rattle and roll in that process. And then unfortunately for Brock, into the curbing down there and over the other side. And a mistake here, unfortunately, for the Snowy River Caravans entry. Zach Best runs wide down there, fires into the gravel, triggered a red flag that took about 5 odd minutes out of proceed. Let's see whether this replay explains a bit more about it, and it does. There is another car involved, and so side-to-side contact has pitched him into the weeds on the left. And though the weather's gorgeous here at the moment, it was wet previous week and last weekend, so you can see it's still pretty soft out there at the moment. And car number 7 had Aaron Luff at the wheel, side by side.
Wing, it's got no wing on the back of the Monster Mustang. That's gone.
What?
There's definitely, there was a wing on the ground. Oh, ugly moment for Garth Tander. Ugly, ugly moment. Yeah, lost wheel and out of control down through the S's at the top of the hill. Now, I might have got this out of step, but yeah, see, that wing's off the car there now.
Yeah,
there was a wing on the road for sure.
Weird set of circumstances that have had the left rear wheel come off that car number 26, David Reynolds, Garth Tander.
Oh, but can you believe 2 top forward-running cars?
The replay, what does it tell us here? So, Yulon car down the inside, very heavy-duty contact there, and that was Dylan O'Keefe, and got him. James was lucky that he didn't end up just firing off to the infield there. Trouble down here at 2 and 3 again, Mark. So dust being raised and some commotion in between 2 and 3, and it's ongoing, and they've all managed to stay off the rivets on the fence, but there was probably more luck than class in that process.
So you picked up on this. I didn't see the start of how this commotion evolved.
It's contact with Jack down the inside of Jake, and did they both tour the paddock? Well, that's ingested a lot of dirt and grass there as well. Full Dukes of Hazzard spec, both airborne between 2 and 3, so they both get into the grass. And then when we saw the external shot, and then Golding would have seen an opportunity to try and get past them because they were out of rhythm, and then there was a squeeze on here. Oh my goodness. And that was fortunate. Here's the replay of what's happened. So look for the car in the foreground. Big lock up inside front. Never got at the apex, and there's very little space between the edge of the racetrack and the wall, so it's made heavy contact with the tyre barrier down there. There's triple layer of tyre barrier down there in the final corner, and unfortunately that's put him out of business. Trigger the red flag. He's into third. Here's the blind approach, gets it back into second gear, and yeah, locks her up. Very lucky to get away with that one and pulled it up before him.
In this one, practice 3. We've had Winkup, we've had Van Gisbergen, and oh my goodness me, we've had Goddard. And that was the biggest of the 3.
Oh, lucky to get away with that. So on board now, check this. It's escaped. Where Murph was standing yesterday, it escaped as you top the rise.
In this session last year, Brock Feeney, it was treacherous wet conditions. Don't tell me that's the 99. Which car is it? Stuck down there.
It is Brody.
It's Brown.
Brown.
It's Will Brown, car 9.
See if you can get out, mate. See if you can get out of the wall.
Tom Moore willing this car, his engineer, to find reverse. Oh, that doesn't sound too good.
So what he's doing now is he's flicked it
Flag
back.
incident, turn 2, driver's left.
Yes.
Let's have a look.
That's really strange. He's missed the turning point there, so he's obviously carrying too much speed, but it doesn't look like turning. It doesn't look like turning. He's missed the inside clipping point by so far.
There you go, from the driver's eye. That's exactly what Will Brown saw. And straight away, can I get down into reverse? Can I get it out of here? That's an unusual one. Almost a glancing blow. So much water in those tyres as well from all the, 40-odd mil of rain that we had here on Wednesday. Let's have a listen.
That really worries me that there's something wrong with the left-hand front, whether that tyre has... As you can see, there's a lot of damage, but underneath is what's critical. It's that one. That's a very, very heavy lateral load incident. The cars are doing 175 kilometres an hour there.
Just the Penrite racing car ran over the spring that was on the road as well.
Analyse further when we maybe get a chat with them. That's that shot there. I don't know if you can see anything on the...
Well, we were actually discussing the same thing, and it just looked to me like he just missed the groove. You know, that camber that's there. It's easy to do, and it's...
Or maybe that broke it, was it, when it came back down?
Yeah.
On the ground.
It is, yeah, but I take your point because that front wheel is towing out. Yeah, and so it's really quite strange in terms of the reaction across to what is the unloaded side of the car. That's
right.
Those forces are so high, aren't they? I mean, it's hard to explain, but one of the corners that's so daunting is that one there. It's just a narrow little piece of road that if you miss the groove, there's no margin for error. And we talk about the average speed at Reed Park and McPhillamy Park, but right there's that coil spring also disappearing out of the car. But at that spot there, the slowest part of that area is 175k. He was just on the white line and it nipped the right-hand front, and he's had to go down the escape road at turn 1. Oh, and Pye has hit the fence quite hard.
That's why he's back in the pits. Turn 2 again. He was second quickest in practice earlier today. They had a really good package.
Worked previously for Triple Eight. The car's off down the road here, and it is car number 23 that's awkwardly positioned off the road. Jonathan Webb at the helm. He speared wide at the bottom of the chase. He's managed to get away with it though. Dean has a look down the inside here, locks up late in the game, tags the left rear corner of Simona Di Silvestro's car. She's now pointing in the wrong direction, down in 15th position. Here's the onboard view from the Middy's electrical entry. Right here it's turning sour and just tags it in that left rear corner.
From a judicial perspective, to see whether he was up far enough, get a couple of different angles and work out whether there's some sort of penalty or not. Anyway, we'll get on with that one.
Oh, big lock-up. And that was awkward for car number 19. And he's actually given it a whack. Is he going to be able to get out the other side?
That's a no.
Kevin Estre's made a big mistake down there in turn 1.
When you're behind a safety car.
Yeah, no, good point. So Kevin Estre on the previous lap was the fastest car on the track. So he was actually pressing on quite hard. And as you can see there, he made a little brake lock early in the stop. And often at Hell Corner, you can just get it. So Di Pasquale now up to 6th down the inside. In the fence. That was disastrous. I think they bumped.
Now this is the reason why we had this second safety car intervention, and it's under investigation. So Scott Pye gets down the inside of Dale Wood, well down the inside, and then there was an awkward contact between the left front on the R&J Batteries car that's ended up in the wall. Here's another critical angle for us. And the right rear corner of Scott Pye's car, right there. That's where it occurred, and that just pitched car number 8 off the edge of the racetrack, and that's left him parked up in the wall. There's very little space down there. It's only a couple of metres between the edge of the road and the actual fence. Tony Woodward there on screen. Here's the onboard. Jaden Ojeda gives us the bird's eye view. Big smoke screen, and he just rockets on by into the weeds.
Gee, and Chaz is lucky here not to get cleaned up with this. So the big lock-up, he would have seen him coming. He parked a little wide, and then he decided not to turn in to avoid that. Now, this is the next bit. So here's the 2 Brad Jones cars by themselves together. A couple of the others take evasive action, but what a shocker for Brad Jones today so far.
I don't think he can.
It's over and out. My God, this is such a cruel game, I say it sometimes, but on days like this for Brad Jones Racing, you have to feel for all the men and women in that racing team.
Has it left anything on the racetrack up there as well? But we've got trouble at the top of the hill here. Unfortunately, it's an issue for James Moffat, and that's damage on that car. Now, is that as a result of anything that was on the road up there? He's whacked the wall just beyond the dipper, and the safety car's been called as he tries to drag it down the hill. So this is another complexion changer for this race.
He hit the inside fence, I think.
Wow, heavy contact, and this just goes to show how risky this place is.
The chase through the change direction, and this is car 98. So you're right, you were talking about some drama there for Simona at Forest Elbow. That was it.
And there may have been another car involved there, so Tyler Everingham's in the tradie car. So was there a little touch-up to help that? That was the next car in the queue, maybe, maybe not. But Simona pointing in the wrong way.
So that car is behaving very nicely. That is a monstrous slide there by James Courtney. He just topped the rise. The rear of the car escaped as the car goes light. He grabbed it with some opposite lock, but then he...
And he's not 100% back to full health at the moment, but he said he's been having so many problems with his legs in the car, particularly in those endurance races.
I think this is Feeney, so he gets through the chicane, and then he goes to turn it in. Oh,
and away
that's
she
a
goes.
very strange spin. It's like it picked up first slot really late. Like it made it into almost a handbrake turn at the middle of the corner.
Will Brown, while we were having a chat, just vaulted up into position number 4 and made big gains. And how's that? That was an awkward moment for Pye, who's hopped it over the top of the curb and then flicked that left rear solidly into the barrier. Snowy River Caravan's entry of James Courtney. He takes a lot of curb aggressively, and look what it's done to the inside rear, and it's bunny hopped its way across the road. Bang! Straight into the tyres.
This is this curb and big slide. Man, that was close to wiping the left-hand side out of that car there for Golding.
Well, he's actually made contact.
He has.
The top of the debris fencing moving as he clobbered the tyres there. He's also made contact with that outside wall in the turn 1 chicane. This is what he did yesterday as well. Goodbye left-hand mirror. This is reversing what had happened earlier. So Mostert on the outside there, and the dirty part of the road where he's outside the groove has just made contact. So yeah, it's probably not as bad as I thought. He has actually only whacked. A couple of laps ago he did the fastest personal lap in the race for him, and this is a replay of what we saw down here at the hairpin at turn 4. James Golding, Cam Hill. Cam's got into the side of him, and troubles for James Courtney. Big damage on the snout of that car, so it's tripped up and over those same curbs that we were talking about. Only unlike Hazelwood, he's not been able to get away with it.
On the radio, if you need a clear pit now.
So it's launched over the top and gone headlong into the wall. Considering the speed on the approach there, it probably could have been a lot worse, but that is going to sideline James. It's a position number 11 from last. So for me, that's a mighty job. Oh, and he's given the wall a big, big thump and turned it around. No way.
So watch this. Turns right, and then as soon as he got the inside curb with it, it just jumped it wide and gone.
Saw a couple of replays earlier in the weekend where the inside rear wheel, when it catches, it catches the upside of that ramp. That sounded horrific. Just watch if the replay shows us that inside right wheel. Yeah, it's hopped so far over, it just picked itself up off the deck and thrown the left rear into the tyres. And you can see all the scuffing down the left-hand side. I believe he didn't rip the left-hand corner off the back of it.
It did look like he needed to turn it in slightly too early. So instead of the initial turn being tighter, it looked like he had to get the car.
Here's what's gone on further afield. So Courtney and Slade just awkwardly interlocked, and then that fired McCauley into Jack Smith that I miscalled, and it's McCauley that was off to the right-hand side. Now, how's that for a shark bite?
That's hit really hard, isn't it?
Yeah, no wonder they've had to declare the safety car out there to be able to... Now,
Oh,
Golding...
there's going to be a massive shunt. That was unbelievable. He spun that car around, and Scott Pye had nowhere to go.
So there was some wild stuff going on in the background. That's Waters. Here we go with James. He's given the tyres a big belting there and rotated out the other side. I saw him go down the order. You spotted all this going on, but Pye is a victim in the process in the Hino entry.
Right now.
There. Here we are on board now with James. And we've been talking up the possibility of a podium for him. Big contact. Remember, he was in strife on the Sunday here in the fast chicane last year, James Golding. This is the view for Scott Pye. Nowhere to go for him as that other car, number 20. Skills that we've seen in Toyota 86 and in Carrera Cup. He's got a bit of rally action going here. Full-blown opposite lock all the way up and over the top of the turn 2 curbing. Canberra's finest, gathers it up out the other side without a spin, a little bit of gravel to continue. So he got off to a strong start in the first sector, felt an anomaly in the way the car was tracking, backed out of it as Nick Percat, who was second on the Saturday race here last year. Thomas Randall, have a go at this. So that's well and truly finding it, and maybe a little bit too much so that's given the front bumper assembly a nice whack.
The jump from the start was brilliant by Brody, but the secondary part of the start was better by David. But very high risk bumping. And in the fence! In the fence! So Will Brown and I think Shane Van Gisbergen have actually made contact. So that's Will Brown in the fence on the left-hand side coming out of turn 4, but I think he got Shane at the same time.
So here it is again from external, turn 4. So they interlock wheels, fires Will into the road, and that catches Van Gisbergen. Will reacts to that, tries to get round the outside, and then...
Those steering forces are very high. Heavy battling not to have really very, very sore hands or wrists.
On board now. This is Cam Waters in the foreground, and the push and shove's happening up here at turn 4. We're with Shane. Bang, bang, nowhere to go.
In fact, the Mustang in front, Cam Waters, blocked his vision completely, didn't it? Because when you were on board just then, you didn't even see that Will went in. That went in hard.
Yeah, that's a nasty shunt. Nasty for 2 reasons, because the right rear got monstered and savaged, and then it goes headlong into the wall.
So it hits the tyres initially, but the wall's just after it, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's going to have... Stecky's just off the podium in 4th at the moment.
Ooh, it's Golding in the fence there at turn 8. And that's him.
Yeah, so there's a lot of marbles here. So you run wide like that, bang. Now, last year, James didn't finish Saturday.
Tyre wear and the performance later in the day when the circuit rubber's in. Big lock up there by Hazelwood, and that was clumsy. He was battling to get it stopped, and then he speared into the side of James Golding. Can't get it stopped. Golding turns in.
The amount of stress. Cam Hill, gigantic shunt.
Turn 8.
And that is a very busted car off the back of turn 8. Red flag triggered Cam Hill. And here we are in real time. Let's have a look at this and a listen. Got the inside curb.
Yep, actually got the guardrail. So that guardrail brush on the right-hand side, that you could actually hear the guardrail contact then. And that car is completely out of control from the time he hit the inside guardrail. And have a look at the damage, front and rear.
Meantime, we've still got 3/4 of a second pain over Kostecki. Down the inside comes Percat. Awkward contact.
That's bad.
And sends him to the wall. That was LeBrock, I believe. Yes, Jack LeBrock is in the wall now. So he's well up the inside there, Nick Percat. And then right there, that That little clumsy tangle where wheel-to-wheel contact happened again. Now, that's what happened yesterday up at turn 4 that had catastrophic effect. And similar sort of thing here today, but fortunately it's a lower speed impact, but with the tyre. What's that doing pointing in that direction?
Yeah, I have no idea. Oh, he's got hit.
Oh, you got T-bone. Right, now I understand it.
That's not a little bit of contact.
That's dangerous, isn't it? Wow. So I looked up and went.
When he come out and he saw Randall, and Randall's not over here because he's at great pace. So he's going to turn in with him. Oh, they go in, and that will be steering arm damage, I'm pretty sure.
I've got steering damage. He just opened the wheel on me.
There you go.
Yeah.